Okay, today I'm going to do another small still life, only make it a little more complicated than tangerine. I'm going to paint an apple, a red and green apple, and again I'm going to use the same pattern that I did with the tangerine, and I'm going to follow the rules of value and color. So initially just let me sort of sketch in what this apple is going to look like. So again, it's not quite as round as the tangerine, and there's the cast shadow, and this is going to be the background. There's a small indentation here where the stem is. Stem is going to be right about there. And let me start massing things in. I'm going to mass in some of the reds first. And I'm going to leave space where I'm going to have the greens. A little thicker paint. And let me put in where the greens are going to be. Using a different brush. So I'm just putting in where I'm going to put some greens in on this apple. Need a little thicker paint. I'm eventually going to cut down on this. Alright, going into shadow, I'm going to darken the reds with a little darker red, which put a little black in it, or I'll use the other optional color, which is alizarin crimson. And this is the turning edge and where I'm going into shadow. And again, there's a little bit of shadow here. Light's coming in from the left and from above. So near the stem, you're going into a little bit of shadow. Now I'm actually mixing some of that green into the shadow. The green will darken and dull the shadow a little bit. And now I'm going to clean my brush off a little bit, and I'm going to go into some lighter reds. So I'm using red with some white in it, or some cadmium red light, which is the optional color. And I'm going in and lightening some of these areas. This is where the light would hit. Put a little reflected light in here. Again, darken that shadow a little bit more with dark red and green. Let me put the cast shadow in. I'm going to lighten the red a little bit more, put some orange in. This is where the light is really hitting. Now I'm going to hit it with a little bit of white for the highlight. The highlight is right here, and there's a little bit of light here. Let me hit the highlight again. That's where the highlight is, right there. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. I'll put the cast shadow in with some, the tablecloth is going to be a yellowish white. It's probably a little too reddish, too red and too yellow. Let me go heavier with the white. Make this edge a little bit sharper. And now I'm going to go in with a little bit of purple. It's red and blue. And here's your cast shadow. Gets darker going towards the apple, so I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Put more blue in, more purple. Hard edge where the cast shadow starts, and it fades away as you move away from the apple. Okay, now I'll put the background in. And again, I'm going to go with a gray background. So I'm going to mix up burnt sienna and blue to make that background. Nice, I get a nice gray, mix it with some white. That's a little too brown, and more blue. That's better. And I'm blurring the back edge of the apple because it's fading away, making the edge with the drapery and the background softer. Okay, I'm going to go in and put a stem on the apple. Use a little bit of brown, which is, in this case, is going to be burnt sienna and blue. Again, make the stem a little dark. And as the stem is throwing a shadow on the apple, I'm going to put a little more blue into the turning edge. And I'm going to add some dark red to that. Make it a little darker. Again, I'm going to make it lighter towards where the reflected light is coming back from the cloth. And again, I'm going to go in and touch up the lights on the apple again. I'm going to use some cadmium red orange or some red with white in it. And there's your reflected light. And let me put the highlight back in again. Before I do that, I'm going to basically make it sure it's really dark right under the apple where all the light is being blocked. So that's where the cast shadow starts, that's where all the light is being blocked. I want to make that really dark. And I can just brush it in. I'm just brushing it into the rest of the cast shadow. And let me reestablish the highlight again on the apple and we're done. For today anyway. I'm probably going to put some more corrections in this, but not today. There's my highlight right here. I got a little bit of light here and here. A little bit of highlight on the stem. Let me just brush some of that in. Back edge I want it fading into the background. And that'll be it for today. And when this dries, I'm probably going to put some corrections in. I might want to put a little more white in that tablecloth. Right where the light is going to be hitting. And blend it into the background. Make a nice sharp edge here where the apple sits on the table. Again, let me put a little more highlight here, a little more grayish white. Okay, and that's it for today. And when we come back, we'll do a few corrections on this.